For 20 years, our house has experienced a lot.
He's back! Are you kidding me?
Triumph, defeat, heartbreak, euphoria. It's been home to legends, and legends in the making. We've watched homegrown kids grow up here and welcomed friends who became family.
The ballpark is in a frenzy!
Like our fans, this place has developed a reputation. And that's just the way we like it. In a city bursting at the seams with history, our house has had its fair share.
Howling drive, way out of here!
Grand slam, Victorino! The Philadelphia Phillies are going to the World Series!
But it's not time to harp on history.
It's time to make more history.
He's gonna just watch it go!
Our team story is not done.
Never say die, Tom.
It's barely been written.
Something's brewing with this team, John.
We're here for the long haul and the long ball.
That one is gonna be long gone!
It's been a fun 2 decades,
Son of a gun, I love this place.
but this is the only looking back we're doing
With a rainmaker!
because we're tired of knocking on the door. It's time to kick it down.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a solo all-star edition of Sorry in Advance. I'm going solo tonight because as I move my camera around there we go. Oh, that'll work. Jesus. Sorry. Going solo tonight because while Scott and I did our episode last week, he even said he was on vacation. I think it didn't click to either of us that he wasn't going to be available today. So Scott's on vacation and Ryan had to work. So just me tonight. Excuse me. So I know it's an all-star edition because pretty much only because the all-star game is on. I'm not currently watching it, but it's behind me. If you could see that, not the dugout. But we have one person at the all-star game, which would be Kyle Schwarber, who will actually be involved, hopefully be involved with the game. But sorry. Getting into things, kind of wanted to do a little mid-season review of the Phillies so far. Mid-season-ish, I'm calling it, because we are technically more than past the halfway point of the season. So that's why it's considered mid-season-ish. So we will kind of look at a little bit of the what the Phillies have done so far, some grades on what I like, didn't like, things that I think the Phillies need to work on. So with that being said, also, it always kind of comes up, and every time I see like the intro that we have is whenever I see that inside the park home run that JT had during that 2022 season, I swear, like I remember being at a winery with my brother and a few friends, and I had the game on while we were outside. Thanks, John. Still getting used to it. It is not usually, if you know me, I never, ever, ever cut my hair short, ever. It is it's very awkward when it happened. I walked outside after I got my hair cut, and I was like, wow, the wind feels so much different when there's no hair. Anyway, excuse me. So, but whenever I remember being at a winery for that game specifically where JT hit the inside the park home run, and like everybody around us just going nuts because we're watching literally on like my Samsung tablet. So I have 5-6 people around us, and there was somebody playing music, on like a gazebo type of thing, and it's like, this guy's playing music. This woman, excuse me, is playing music on a gazebo for a bunch of people at a winery, and then there's 5 or 6 of us in a corner screaming, overpowering her, and they're just like, "Is everything all right?" And then we're like, "Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, JT Realmuto just hit an inside the park home run." So then, as people kept walking by, they're just asking us what the score was and stuff like that. But the more I think about it, I'm just like, "Damn, man! Like, should have won that damn World Series, man." Really should have won that World Series. It really is just like that. That was it. That was the year that, like, I don't know. But that World Series did not work out, obviously, for us, considering like we were just all over the place, and it's been an interesting down to feel that breeze. Yes. I know, Mom. I was contemplating wearing a hat tonight. Anyway, so oh my God, I apologize. My phone is like being weird and everything. Like before I even logged on tonight, like I'm trying to log on, and my Apple password just kept, or my Apple something just kept popping up like on my screen, and just kept going like, oh, you want to change your password? You want to change your password? You want to change your password? And it would not stop. It would not go away. And it was infuriating. So VQS CJV. So now I'm trying to now work with all this crap along with my TV. So sorry, let me get my hellos. Hello, Donna. Hi, Amy. And hello, Mrs. Pizzo. Your son sucks. Just want to let you know that your son sucks. Just kidding. So mid-season review time. Mid-season review time is interesting because you would think for like us going through this for a few months, it would just be oh, it's all right, Mrs. Pitts. So I'm just kidding. I love your son. He makes me laugh. This team has been very interesting from the start. And to try and give it like an easy grade for how they're doing the first half, I'm sitting there like, obviously I kept thinking, I'm like, do I even bother doing the bullpen? Like it really was a thought to where I was just like, do I absolutely at all bother doing the bullpen? Because we know it's been a train wreck. And it's actually funny because it would be interesting to know the shape of the complete bullpen and how things are now if Jose Alvarado wasn't stupid and get suspended. Can we call that pitcher up from Arkansas to be the closer ASAP? So, John, believe it or not, I am going to get into that. And you're going to the game Friday. I'm going to the game Sunday. My dad got us tickets, so that'll be interesting. But anyway, so I am going to get right into this. 2025 mid-season review. Don't mind me. I'm sorry. I'm going to get the comments off the screen so everybody can see everything. So, this is my personal review. I didn't get a chance to kind of get the guys because I found out that Scott couldn't come on and Ryan couldn't come on. So, this is kind of just me and my thoughts, if anybody cares. So, at least 4 of you do, and I know all of you. So, if there was a higher grade than an A+ for our starting pitching, 4 of our starting pitchers, I would absolutely put it up because let me get our picture out of there. It is ridiculous just how much, I would say how obviously how much we can attribute to them for our position, but really like obviously with our offense, streaky sometimes can be the biggest understatement in the world. The reason, I don't know, do you put more than 50% of the reason of why we are where we are is because of our starting pitching? I mean, you have our absolute ace in Zach Wheeler, who is 9-3 with a 2.36 ERA and 154 strikeouts so far. Walk hits per innings is less than 1. He's at 0.86. Ranger Suarez, 7-3 with a 194 ERA, snubbed for the All-Star game. Which I know, I understand, like, he was asked, I believe it was him who was asked, and he said, no, he wants to rest. Absolutely fine. So then Christopher Sanchez was snubbed too. But Suarez, 7-3, 194 ERA, 78 strikeouts. And granted, he missed, a month? And a little bit over 1 walk hits per innings pitched. Christopher Sanchez up here at the top right, 8-2 with a 2.50 ERA, 122 strikeouts, and 1.14 walk hits per innings pitched. And then you have Luzardo, who his ERA is a little bit inflated because of 3 games when he let up like 30,000 runs. It literally is because of pretty much those 2 games. There's other games where like he let up like in the past 5 where he let up like 4 or 5, but like it's those 2 main games where his ERA skyrocketed from like 2 to almost 5. But he's 8-5 with a 4.14 ERA, 122 strikeouts as well, and a 141 whip. I mean, we are literally our starting pitching is first in ERA, first in WAR, first in wins, or third in wins, excuse me, first in quality starts, first in innings pitched per games, first in Ks, and then fifth in whip, walk hits per innings pitched. Now that is that whole middle section right there. I didn't obviously include Nolan here because he's been out for a while, but believe it or not, that is including Abel. That's including Walker. That is including Nola for how really not great, dare I say bad, Nola was this year. I think everything is leaning toward him coming back probably like in August. I actually haven't really heard anything like else. I just I don't know. It's I haven't heard anything with when he's coming back, like, excuse me, but like the last thing I really heard was like 3-4 weeks ago. That it was taking whatever the hell happened with his ribs randomly. That he had a stress fracture in his right rib when he left to go on the IL for a sprained ankle. So that's such a Philly thing, or such a thing that happened like in a Philly way. So that extended it, but he hasn't. I know everyone gives Nola a hard time because he is so streaky, and I'm not denying that. It is incredibly frustrating, and he is a year-to-year pitcher, but you can't bash the contract because you're getting signed for what you did and then hoping to continue what you were doing. That's why, like, every single time, like, Ryan Howard gets brought up a lot of times too, is, no one was expecting an injury like that to happen to him, nor to Nola like now. This is Aaron Nola's first time on the IL since 2017. That is 8 years. Like, that's amazing for anybody. Excuse me. So it's that we just have to suck up for now. But our starting pitching has been absolutely insane. 4 of our starting pitchers. Abel was good for 2 or 3 starts, and then was decent, and then just kind of fell off the face of the earth. He's kind of doing all right down there in the minors right now, so that's good, and hopefully, most likely going to be used in a trade from everything that I'm reading. And I think one interesting thing too is, I'm not going to get fully into it right now, but like with our draft, is the fact that we drafted 14 pitchers out of our 20 draft picks. To me, that kind of sends a message to our minor league pitchers that I think they're all, except for Painter, obviously, from everything I've read, but I think everybody's on notice to be like, you could get moved at any point. Like, pitching is because you figure Wheeler's done in 2 years. He's already said that. July 31st is the trade deadline, John. I forget the time. I think it's like 3 or 4 o'clock or something like that. What date is 6 p.m.? Sorry, it's 3 o'clock Western time, Pacific time, whatever the hell it is. But yeah, July 31st, July 31st at 6 o'clock. So 2 Thursdays from now. I think them drafting that many pitchers is really just kind of saying, like, we can breed pitching. Obviously, we did it with Suarez. You did it with Sanchez. You've done it with Abel now coming back pretty good. You've done it with Painter. You have people available now. You just drafted in 1 year alone. Never mind the next 2-3 years what you're going to draft. I think that's them planning for the future with pitching. And I think that's Dombrowski has already said with the trade deadline, he's He's not going to trade any prospects for a rental. He wants somebody with control, which I 100% agree with, because this rental stuff is so tricky, especially in a team in our spot, with the fact that the Phillies aren't a win now. Like, every year is a win now, but I think the Phillies right now are in a win now because you don't know what Schwarber's going to do after this year, if he's going to come back. Castellanos, with the way he's been since he got here, he has been in a bad year, good year, bad year, good year. So he's in his good year now. And then next year, you don't know, and this is last year. So you're going to need to move pieces, because you can just try and go after everybody in free agency. It doesn't always work, obviously. So you're going to need to make some trades, which is going to be very interesting, because I think fans are getting tired of well, here, I'll save that for next. I won't. I'm getting ahead of myself. So anyway, if there was a higher grade than A plus, it would be for the starting pitching on this team. There's nobody who can tell you that the Phillies don't have the best starting rotation in baseball. If they do, then they're literally just trying to pick a fight with you for nothing and just get you riled up. So I did go with the bullpen, and obviously I didn't want to give them an F, and that is only because the majority of this obviously is Jordan Romano. And I always love the little thing from a Major League, that who are these freaking guys? The thing with the bullpen is, man, like Jordan Romano has a 7.29 ERA. Joe Ross has a 5.40. Everybody else, like Tanner Banks, Matt Strahm, Orion Kirkering, aren't terrible. Somehow Jordan Romano, which annoys the hell out of me, leads this team in saves with 8. Before that, Alvarado had 7 already before he was suspended. The other interesting thing is that Kirkering has like 14 holds. I just, it's so tough with this team, really, with the bullpen, because you don't. Right now, Romano's worse. Like I can't defend Romano at all. Like Walker has a 3.55 ERA compared to Jordan's 7.29. That's including 9 games started. He's let up more hits, but again, he's started 9 games. I just, it's infuriating to watch sometimes. I mean, every single stat almost has us in the worst category, even when like the lower number is bad. Bullpen ERA, we're 24th out of 30. Bullpen innings pitched, 30th. Bullpen WAR, 10th. I don't know how the hell, how we're even just 10th. Bullpen walk hits per innings pitched, almost 1.5 hits. Blown saves, 17th. It seems like there's so much more too. When you look at these and you're just like, oh my God, there's only 17 blown saves. It's kind of like, wow, only 17. And an inherited run scored is 36%. That is what just like, I mean, you're not always going to get everybody out. Like, I get it. When you pull up a starting pitcher in the middle of an inning, you pull a reliever. I think that's one thing that always bothers me too, is like these pitchers that come in for 1 out and then they don't come, like, go pitch the next damn inning. And then they won't pitch the next game. That grow a set. Just my opinion. But the bullpen, and obviously with the trade deadline, again, for the 175th year in a row, the Phillies' biggest problem is the bullpen. I think this is the most important year that they need to get not just a stopgap bullpen piece. And what I mean by that is not just somebody who's like a middle reliever or something that they have control. You need a closer. And I think if they get a closer, it needs to be the closer, not pitcher by committee. No, if you go and get somebody like Clase, I don't think Durant whatever from the Twins is coming. I don't even think he's going to get traded. If he does, it'll probably go to the friggin' Dodgers. But Bednar, Santana from if you get a closer, he needs to be the closer. Not no 7th, 8th inning. No. Like, figure it the frig out. Everybody can work around it. Maybe that's one of the problems too, is this whole pitcher closer by committee thing. Maybe that's the issue. John says Chapman as a closer probably won't cost that much. Here's the thing about that. I would absolutely go after Aroldis Chapman. And I'm jumping ahead to actually something I have at the end of on like another slide, is the fact that the AL East is so interesting right now. Because here, let me skip ahead a little bit. So the AL East, the Red Sox are 3 games out of the division. And I think 5.5, if I remember right, out of the wild card. So it'd be first. I think they're like 5.5 out of the wild card. The interesting thing with that is, like, I see a lot where, like, Jared Duran might be moved, and which would be very interesting considering they already traded Devers. Now, Jared Duran's 28 and will be under team control. Is Jared Duran 28? I completely forget how old he is. I'm just drawing a blank. He's 28, yeah. And the thing about Jared Duran is that he is under team control for he's not allowed to. His earliest free agent year is 2029. His first year of arbitration is next year. So you would have him for another 3 years. And he's estimated to make $8 million next year. I keep seeing that, like, he might actually be traded because apparently the Padres have been trying to get him for a while. I could see. I mean, we talked about it before. Like, should the Phillies go after Chapman and Duran to fix the outfield problem that we have, and a closer? To which I would say, yeah. I mean, Chapman's still absolutely killing it. He's throwing still 104, and he's 38. Like, I don't understand. He's 37. Like, that's insane. This year so far, he has 17 saves. And in 38 innings, he's got 58 strikeouts. He's got 10 walks. He's given up 5 earned runs. I mean, like, 19 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned runs, excuse me. I would still go after him. The issue is you have 2 weeks into the trade deadline, and a lot could happen in those 2 weeks to where, why would the Red Sox be sellers, I'm not saying they would be buyers, but why go through all that? They have that Anthony kid that they already called up. It's that one's going to be very interesting to see what the Red Sox do among some other teams, but I'll get there. But yes, to answer your question, I would take Chapman and heartbeat as a closer. The offense, I gave them a C. Oh, here, I didn't explain sorry. I gave the bullpen a D, mainly because Alvarado's out, and this is based off of just Romano, pretty much is the majority of the problems that we have. I thank God that the Phillies actually got rid of Carlos Hernandez. I hated him. I hated every single time he pitched. He infuriated me. Anyway, back to the offense. So the offense, I gave a C+. I was floating around like a B or a C, so I went C+. The 13th in runs scored, 7th in stolen bases, which I'm just like, I think that's mainly Turner, because Turner, I don't really remember. I don't remember Stock getting on base very much. So I was just like, does Trey Turner have 83 stolen bases? But Trey Turner has 24 stolen bases, and Stott has 14. Harper has 9. Realmuto has 5. The math isn't really adding up for me. That's very Rojas or whatever. So anyway, and batting average is 255, which is funny because when you look at that and you say you're 8th in the league, and 255 is I guess pretty much average. That's not bad. On base is 329. We're 4th in the league. Home runs were 102nd. That's the one that I think everyone's really surprised of. But you lost Harper for a month, and Harper wasn't performing good when he wasn't performing up to Bryce Harper that we've seen in those first few months compared to when he, and then when he was out. But that one is more surprising. And I think what's even more surprising is the fact that, what's not surprising is the fact that Kyle Schwarber has 30 home runs, which him and Mike Schmidt are the only two Phillies to ever have 30 home runs before the All-Star break, which I thought was pretty cool. But I mean, Harper's at 10, Turner's at 11. So, and Turner leads the league, the National League in hits. Right now with 112. Bohm, the power is kind of there, but he's at 8. And Bohm, I mean, you remember he struggled big time in April, but worked his ass off and he got back to where he usually is, a 281 batting average. He's got 12 doubles. That's the number I was expecting to see more of. But then you have Castellanos, who's got 22 doubles, 12 home runs. He's hitting 273 with 51 RBIs. He's second on the team, in RBIs to Schwarber, who's got 69. So you have a lot of positives there. Alec Boehm's almost at 100 hits. I doubt he'll get to 200. But he's gotten close. Kepler has, I wanted the Phillies to sign Kepler in the offseason. I remember texting my friends Jay and Drew about it, and I was just like, what about Kepler? He's a good low risk, high reward. And then you paid him $10 million. And he's been especially with the recent comments of him. It's hard to do this when I'm not playing every day. And I remember coming on the show just thinking, you've started the majority of the season, so I don't want to hear that shit that, oh, well, I need to play more, blah, blah, blah. Well, your numbers aren't helping your case when you are playing, so no. But other than that, I mean, JT's hitting 268 with 5 home runs, 17 doubles. I mean, the skill is there. It's just not being put together all the time, which is just what this team seems to always have an issue with. Is they can do it. They will score runs in bunches and then not score for 15 innings straight. Or they'll score 2 runs in one game. They'll win 1-0, 3-4, and then they'll blow a team out 15-2, and then the next game they'll lose 17-1. It feels like it's literally just what the team is. I think one thing that is really come to help us is the people off the bench. Edmundo Sosa is just such a luxury to have. Otto Kemp hasn't been bad. He's hitting 247. It's got 22 hits. Marshawn is whatever. I think they're going to look for another backup catcher next year. Buddy Kennedy's gone. I didn't understand that whole thing with bringing him forcing his hand, and then us, though we didn't want to lose him. I'm like, well, you end up losing him anyway. You brought him up because you didn't want to lose him. He didn't do anything. You had to send him back down, and he left. So that was just a waste, and you sent down Weston Wilson, who I would have rather kept up. And we could always bring up Cody Clemens because everyone always does. But, Cody Clemens has 12 home runs, and that's fine. He's playing for a different team. Who knows, with different coaches, different lineup, blah, blah, blah. I liked Cody Clemens. He was a bench player here. That's all he was ever going to be. So, next is the defense. Our defense is believe it or not, outside of Trey Turner and Marsh, our defense isn't terrible. I mean, home runs is such a weird stat to give up for defense because, that's a pitching stat. But we've given up 102 home runs, which is crazy. We've given up 438 runs. We've given up 84 stolen bases. The opponent batting average. Did I actually, wait a minute. Now that I'm looking at this, did I just post the wrong stat? I did. I'm an asshole. You could ignore all this stat right here. I just noticed that I posted the same thing twice. So, the defense, there's no real stat for that. So I apologize that I posted that twice. The defense is, I mean, let me go down here for fielding. So Trey Turner, I think, leads baseball in history in no, I'm kidding. Trey Turner, believe it or not, only has 7 errors. It seems like a lot more. But I mean, he leads the team. Alec Boehm has 3. Realmuto has 3. Sosa has 3. Stott has 2. Harper has 2. But I mean, you look at these fielding percentages. Turner 979, Boehm 990, Realmuto 996. He's still an amazing defensive catcher. The threat to like him throwing you out is just not there anymore. Like teams steal on him on the regular now. Harper's still a 996 fielding percentage. So it's the defense has really held up its end still to this day. So I gave them a B. So the other thing I want to look at is the current standings in baseball. This is why the trade deadline is going to be so interesting, because if you really, I mean, we're only a half a game in first, and we got that when the Mets lost Sunday and we won. Chicago Cubs are, it's so funny looking at it because the Cubs had like a 5 or 6 game lead last week. It was like over the last 2 weeks or something. And then the Brewers, were coming on. They're 1 game out of the division lead. And the West is, I mean, 5.5, 6 games isn't anything far off by any means. Like, how do I feel about Castellanos in the outfield? Well, here's my thing. Castellanos in the outfield isn't changing unless they trade him. I don't think they will trade him. He's fine as a right fielder. I mean, Harper's a better right fielder, but I don't think Harper's going back to the outfield at all. I'm fine with Castellanos in the outfield. It's one of those things that just is what it is. You put your worst defender out there. So as long as they position him to come into the left, the Phillies are fine. He's not terrible. I don't know how else to put it, but Castellanos is who he is, like in right field. It's not going to be I could see them changing that in the offseason, maybe, if they work out a trade. I mean, you're going to have to trade him for somebody who's okay with having him for a year unless they sign an extension or whatever. But I think that's an offseason problem they're going to have to deal with if they even get rid of him. I mean, see how he does it. Again, there's 2.5 months in the season. Who knows? But the whole thing with the NL Central is really interesting because the Brewers are a game out. And I saw like trade rumors and stuff looking around like, oh, could the Brewers trade Freddie Peralta? And I'm just sitting there thinking like, damn, like how could they even consider the Braves trading or the Brewers trading Freddie Peralta? And then you look at it, you think about it, and it's like, well, they traded Corbin Burns and then won the division that same year. So the Brewers aren't afraid to make shocking moves. I mean, they traded Hader. Like, they're not afraid to make shocking moves and then still able to really win. The Brewers pitching staff is actually pretty good. They have Priester. They have Woodruff just came back. They obviously have Freddie Peralta. There's somebody else. Jacob Mazeroski, who just came up, who good for him. I'm happy for him. He doesn't deserve to be in the All Star game after 5 friggin' games. Jose Quintana hasn't been bad. Like, they have a pretty good starting rotation. Excuse me. Sorry. Drink of water. Talking too much. But the whole thing with this is like, there's so many teams that are still in this that like the next 2 weeks could make a big deal. It could be a big deal for, I mean, you figure, let's see, us, the Mets, the Cubs, the Brewers, the Cardinals are only 6.5 out. That I don't know if that could be. What if the Cubs and Brewers lose? I don't know who they're, I don't know their schedule. Maybe they're playing each other. Maybe the Cardinals are playing. What if they take 3 games or 4 games and they're within 3.5 of a playoff spot before the trade deadline? How do you give up on 2 months of the season? The Padres, aren't giving up. The Giants are not giving up. The Diamondbacks are talking about being sellers, but they're not going to get rid of all their main young talent like Carroll, Marte. but you hear stuff about like them possibly trading Gallon because he's on a rental or he's a 1-year deal. So somebody could get him as a rental. Like, seems like such a thing the Dodgers would do because the Dodgers just keep rotating pitchers like, like it's nothing. Be wild card standing. So, I mean, if you look at it, let me share this screen. I'm sorry. Present, share screen. Sorry, everybody. I mean, if you look at this wild card, or that's the like, there's, I mean, God, do I dare say the Marlins? But I mean, really, there's what? The Brewers, Mets, Padres are in the wild card right now. The Giants are a half game out. Cardinals 1.5. Reds 2.5. Diamondbacks only 5.5. That's 4 other teams battling for a spot in the wild card. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that could be in a playoff hunt looking for, get my face off the screen that close, looking for help. I mean, there's so many moves that could still happen. It's going to be such an interesting playoff scenario to watch. And who's just going to who knows if these teams have plans, the GMs have plans, but they're going to stick to the plan and just be like, we're not going to make any moves, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think one of the biggest shocks really are right now is the Orioles in the AL. I was not expecting them to be in last place in the AL. I mean, in the ALE, excuse me. I mean, they're 43 and 52. And here's, I'm not showing the screen. Sorry. And here's the funniest thing. If you look at exactly the topic I'm trying to talk about, the Orioles are 7.5 out of a wild card spot. That, like, if everybody remembers, like, how much that last series back in 07, 08, I forget which one, but when the Phillies like were 7-8 games out or something like that, and then swept the Mets to get like, teams make that up. Like, everyone keeps thinking the Guardians are going to sell. They're 4.5 out of a wild card spot. I mean, if you really look at the division, the Guardians are 4.5 out of the division. I'm sorry, 12. They're 12 games out of the division, 4.5 out of a wild card. Like, that is a difference maker with Detroit, because Detroit's just ridiculous now. But I mean, you look up here to the AL East. Like I said, I didn't pick the Toronto Blue Jays to be as good as they're doing. I thought that the Red Sox were going to be much, much better, but they're in a wild card spot. So how do you have them possibly be sellers? Trading Chapman, trading Duran, trading anybody else. The Mariners are probably going to be buyers. The Rays are 1.5 out. It's so interesting what could possibly happen with the rest of these 2 weeks, just this month. Like I said, here's the AL East. I know I was just showing that on the screen. So here's some of my other some ideas I had for hey Franco, how are you? Here's just my take on some players who I think are definitely going to be moved, and where I think they're going to go. And this is just, I'm not even gonna lie, like, this is me Googling stuff and just seeing, like, constant rumors for the same exact teams. And the biggest one is Jared Duran. But again, I say this with a grain of salt on the teams that I think they're going to. Is it all depends on what's going on with them. Like Seattle, the last few years, like, they're in a playoff hunt, and then they just fall off. like they really do. Duran, the Padres have been looking at for the last 2 years. I think they were trying to get him last year and the year before, if I remember correctly. But I mean, he's hitting 258 with 8 home runs, 50 RBIs, and 103 hits, and he's a pretty good outfielder. Jared Duran is definitely a good outfielder. He's, I think, got a lot to where he can obviously help the Padres. But he's played in 97 games, so he's been able to stay healthy. I think he's got 16 stolen bases. It's a good option, and I'm trying to remember where he's played this year, just this year. I mean, he's played left, center, and right. Right one game, but I mean, the majority of the time, he actually leads the league in games played at left field, excuse me. So I would love for the Phillies to go get him because he's a pretty damn good defender. He is let me see, 967. Why is that a lot lower than well, I also can attribute that to playing at Fenway and playing with the wall with the Green Monster. That's a hell of a lot different. So, Ryan McMahon over here second. I know the batting at the stats aren't jumping out at you. But especially playing for Colorado. That is, to me, doubly concerning because Ryan McMahon, I mean, was really a name for the last few years. Even with how bad the Rockies have been. He's 30 years old, and understandably, he's only hitting 212 with 28 RBIs, and has played in 94 games. Hasn't missed a lot of time, if any, and leads the league in strikeouts. I just noticed that too. I didn't put that up there. However, if you look at his previous years, he hit 242 last year, was an all-star, 240 the year before, 246, 254, 215, 250. He's always been kind of a 250 hitter, around 20 home runs. I think he goes to the Yankees just because they need desperate help at third. They finally DFA'd DJ LeMahieu, which was the dumbest signing they've done in a very long time. The dude was falling apart in front of you, and you signed him. So why don't you just go steal Ryan McMahon from the Rockies, just like you did LeMahieu when you traded for him, and just see how that works out. The other option I think that they go after is Suarez. Suarez, well, back to McMahon real quick. Fielding wise, he's not bad. He leads the league in infield assists, and he's got where is it? 6 errors at third. Not great, whatever, but he's still got a 977 fielding. He's not a terrible third baseman. Eugenio Suarez, though, is, I think, maybe who the thing with McMahon over Suarez is that right field, because McMahon's a lefty and Suarez is a righty. But Eugenio Suarez is playing a hell of a lot better. He's got 31 home runs, 250 batting average, 78 RBIs in the first half of the season. In 95 games. He leads the league in RBIs right now. So that's probably who I think they're going to go after. But I think they're going to go after one. If not both, I think they're going to get one. And then I was reading before about how Seattle would like to get Suarez back, which is interesting because going to hit in Seattle is always, it's not a hitter's ballpark. It's a pitcher's ballpark. But when he was with Seattle, I mean, 31 home runs, 22 home runs, 87 RBIs, 96 RBIs, which is funny. When he had 31 home runs, he had 87 RBIs. When he had 22 home runs, he had 96 RBIs, but led the league both years in strikeouts. His batting average is around 230. So he's having a good year batting average wise. The strikeouts are way down, but I tell you what, man, that would it'd be a good pickup for them. Third baseman, fielding wise, he's all right. He's got a 948 fielding percentage, 11 errors. You're just gonna have to deal with that because they already moved Chisholm back to second, and I think they're done with that. Which stellar home run derby by Chisholm. Thank God the MLB made sure to get, all home run hitters to come there. The last name that I really think is going to be moved from the Diamondbacks is going to be Josh Naylor. He's played in 87 games. He's hitting almost 300, which I don't know if what I have up there might be wrong, because when I was looking this up, I noticed that it might have been from like a day or two ago, or not a day or two ago, a week or so ago. Oh, no, everything's right. 294, 11 home runs, 58 RBIs, which is interesting. But 90 and 90, well, I know why he's only got 11 home runs. It's because he's on my fantasy baseball team. Got 96 hits, which is funny when you look at Suarez and Naylor next to each other. Naylor, the 294 batting average, Suarez 250. 31 home runs for Suarez, 11 home runs. But Suarez has 78 RBIs, but almost 10 less hits. So it's Naylor's definitely more of a hit machine. And this is the main reason I kind of said it really depends on the next 2 weeks. That's why I wonder if any moves are going to happen like sooner. Again, depending how teams perform, how soon a trade happens. Because if the Red Sox are still a game and a half or in the wild card spot, or closer in the division, and their starting pitching holds on, their lineup starts really coming through, why wouldn't they go after somebody? Go after Josh Naylor. I mean, you've been looking for a first baseman since Devers said he wouldn't play there. Tristan Casas is out for the year. It's who says that the Red Sox don't go after a starting first baseman, excuse me. I mean, as of right now, their starting first baseman has been Abraham Toro, who's hitting 271. I mean, he's not doing bad, but do you go after someone like Josh Naylor, who can hit, what you're getting in him, and he's a rental? I think that's the biggest thing, is he's a rental. So it really depends on what, obviously, I mean, this is not anyone's first trade deadline. It depends on what teams want to give up, what teams want to get rid of in aspect to prospects, in aspect to current players. Me personally, I think Crawford and Painter are really the only untouchable prospects for me. The Phillies obviously need bullpen help. I think that they need outfield bad. I wouldn't be surprised if Marsh is traded. I wouldn't be surprised if Yohan Rojas is traded. If Tate, the other prospect, is traded. Abel, I think, is going to be traded. I think this is a trade deadline that Dombrowski really needs to win back a good portion of fan base, because his offseason was not good. Nothing has worked out from what he really worked on, and it's been blowing up in our face when you look at Hoffman and Estevez, how they're doing. And it's just, I think he needs to pull something out of his ass. I could see them trying to go after Duran. I could see them, if you really want to surprise people, I don't think it'll happen. I would love to see it happen. I hope it does happen. Is them go get, Clase and Quan. I know that rumor's been out there. You would have a very good closer, and you would have a very good outfielder, and you would have control. And I know that's what Dombrowski said, is he wants somebody that he's going to have control over, not just a rental. So I think that's going to be a real. These next 2 weeks are going to be so interesting, especially for the fact that this is kind of the last thing that I, wanted to bring up. Jesus, with the camera, is that for these next 2 weeks, I mean, how do you not look ahead to the Phillies schedule? Let's see. Phillies schedule coming up. If I could type. So obviously they play the Angels this weekend in a 3-game series. 3-game series? No, obviously not tonight. So starting Friday, the Phillies it's starting with Jesus Luzardo going Friday. Saturday will be Taijuan Walker. Thank God I don't get Taijuan Walker. and Sunday will be Ranger Suarez. Nice. Yay. So that'll be a very good. I dare say you should sweep them, but Logan O'Hoppe probably has 2 home runs against us and whatever. So anyway, there's a 3-game series against the Angels. There's a 3-game series. The Red Sox come here. Then we go to New York to play the Yankees for 3 games. There's 6 games really that you have 2 teams that are in a wild card spot fighting for a division and a wild card spot along with us. So that's going to be a tough series right out of the gate. Then we go to Chicago and play the White Sox. Then we come home, play a 3-game series against the first place Tigers. Then we play the Orioles home. And then we play the Rangers, Reds. So here, I'm sorry, let me get back. Our last series before the trade deadline is against the White Sox. So before the trade deadline, Red Sox, Yankees, White Sox. And right now I'm saying no Luis Robert. No. So really it's, I know we'll do another show we'll do another 2 shows by then. 1, 2, yeah. So it's just these these 2 weeks, these 2 series coming up are going to be incredibly interesting. So that is all I had for tonight. So John, Mother, Donna, Amy, Mrs. Pizzo, and Franco, thank you for hanging out. And I see Spencer Matlock. Thank you very much for also hanging out. And I don't know who's winning the All-Star game right now. I should probably look before I sign off. MLB.com. NL's leading 2-0. I like it. That was it. Sorry. I was slowed down a little bit. So thank you, everyone, for hanging out. I appreciate it very much. And I hope everyone stay safe out there because the weather's been insane. There's flash floods in Texas, thoughts are with everyone there. There was flash flood and flooding and everything in North Jersey this yesterday. Yesterday, I think I saw the video of. It's like insane, absolutely insane weather. So everyone, stay safe and go Phillies. And I will see you all next week. Solo, whatever, who knows? Have a good night, everybody.